What's up, cyberspace cadets, cyber fam, and fam bots galore? It's Irate Prostate. It's Sunday, and you know what that means. It's time for ice cream. And the concept behind ice cream is simple. Most people see ice cream as a simple treat, and that's why I call this thing ice cream, is because a treat to me is talking to somebody that I'm interested in and I want to know more about. And this dude is definitely no exception. Before we get into the show, I do need to say, last week we got preempted by Susan, and the Dark Conservatarian, I had to postpone him, and he's going to be next week. So I apologize for that, but Becca and I got busted for something that it was planted evidence. That's all I'm going to say. Mm-hmm. So, right?
It was you daring to speak badly of the Great Sea, the communism that unites us all.
Indeed,
not
man.
allowed to talk bad about it.
Yeah, I think it was literally the shit I said about China. So, there you go. And ladies and gentlemen, that is none other than the one and only Terry Diamantis.
Hey everyone.
How you doing, man? It's been a while.
Pretty good.
So,
yeah.
So y'all, all right. I've known Terry for a while, and we've done these Equippers United things, and even I think we've done a couple of just long streams, in a group together, right? I've never really had a chance to sit down with Terry one-on-one, so I'm really kind of pumped up about this.
I'm pretty sure we've been on Minions together.
Definitely, yeah, exactly, in a group setting. So now I got you to myself, and we're gonna find out all about you. Let me make sure everything's good. All right, yeah, everybody can hear everything. All right, Uzi Q, hello, good to see my wife out there in Wally World, paying her visit. Johnny Hellcat, greetings. Sir Adamantine, what's up, man? Moonbase Radio, I know you're lurking out there. Lurk away. Functional, what's up? Let's see, Tom of Loxley. Means of Destruction, hey man. You're a ridiculous lunatic. I'm indeed one. Thank you. And you are too, obviously. So welcome aboard. You have a wrench until you lose your privilege, because that's the way we do it here. Be nice to each other, and you get to keep your wrench. And if not, then you get to lose it, and people get to put you in timeout and shit. So it's almost like an ANCAP version of the chat. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too much.
If everyone's got a wrench, no one does.
Exactly. Tourist, what's up, man? Golly, we got a good crowd, man. So shit. Listen, no more delay, Irate. Let's do the damn thing. All right? You ready, Terry?
Yep.
You're in the chair. I'm going to turn you up just a little bit more. I'm just, it's the thing. Thank you. I lose all this stuff on my interweb board. The flat thing you look at with the icons on it. Okay. I don't know why I'm doing this stupid voices, but hey. It is what it is. I'm in a good mood, man. I got a good vibe about this deal. All right, so chat, the drill. If you've been here before, you know that if you have any direct personal questions for Terry, to go ahead and jot them down during the show, and before we end the show, I'll open a space to where we'll be able to entertain those questions. Kind of like what they do in Lords of the Night for the last half hour. So if you're a fan of the Lords, that's kind of, and that's kind of how really Terry and I met. It's like all these people we've met through the Lords of the Night chat. It's grown into this. It's like kudzu, man. I don't know if you know what kudzu is, but it's this shit that grows everywhere here in the South. And it just, one day you don't see it, and the next day the whole fucking trees, everything's covered by it. So, yeah, it's a good thing. It's like cancer, but only prettier. Plant cancer. Holy shit. Yeah, I'm in rare form, dude. Anyway, so yeah, I cut loose the other night, and I kind of had fun doing it. So I'm like, hey, let's do this some more. All right, so the way that I do this is we started at YouTube, and I'll ask you about some stuff about YouTube, and then we'll go into your history, and then we'll come back to YouTube before we part, and I may even throw a couple of extracurricular questions at you, Terry, because you're so creative.
I'll do my best.
So, all right. So, how long have you been around on YouTube, and what made you come to YouTube?
So it was probably 2015, 2016. So basically, the whole Gamergate thing went crazy, and at the time, I'd only ever heard that Gamergate was like these horrible misogynist people. So I thought, you know what? I'm actually going to go out and find the other side of the argument, because I'd never heard anyone defend it.
Right.
And so, because at the time I was really worried that my friends were going to get mad at me for like watching the wrong videos, because that was something, I was a bit worried about back then. I figured I'll go with The Amazing Atheist, because then I can use that as cover. Like, oh no, I thought he was just an atheist. I had sort of like an excuse if anyone got mad at me. And
Right.
So I started watching him, and through that I found, Sargon and Shoe on Head and all the, the standards.
Right.
And yeah, that's how I started watching YouTube as a sort of active hobby, as opposed to just, I'll have a thing that I want to look up and watch a YouTube video. That was when I started watching it like actively.
Oh, I added this new thing. Check it out, people. You like that? Ding, ding. That's right. Subscribe and ring that bell, people. Sorry, Terry.
No, you're good.
I just got a new toy, and I've been playing with it.
No, I was just stopping to watch the stream because I was curious what your new toy was. But I just saw it.
Yeah, you see it now? Yeah. Ding, ding. I like that, the ding. It's awesome. All right, so you got in, basically about the same time I guess I did. It was like about 3 or 4 years ago. We just all these people started showing up, and the Lords of the Night started doing their thing, and and everybody just started kind of gravitating to that chat, and then Monkey had the server, the Discord server, and people started meeting and talking through that. And...
Well, I never actually did the Monkey Discord thing, because I don't really use Discord all that much. It's basically if like something like the streams that Frosted Glass does, he'll post the link in Discord, so I'll use it for that.
Right.
But I'm not very active in Discord, so I never really had that part of it. But all the same, if not for Ranting Monkey and his streams, I wouldn't know any of the people I'm currently friends with on the internet.
Indeed.
So I do owe him quite a debt.
Yeah. All right. So why the choice for your avatar? You notice I found the whole thing. I've got a nice PNG of it if you want it.
That's probably good. So the main thing is, like, obviously I'm a fan of Monty Python, which is where the book comes from.
Really?
I don't know if I've let that slip in the past, but yes, I am.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, basically at the time I didn't want to use my face. Not for privacy things. I was just really insecure, and I thought, I was ugly, so no one's going to want to look at a picture of my face. I figured I like Monty Python to the point that is like one of the main influences on my life as a kid. Is like I would watch it constantly. Anything Monty Python, I would watch. I have a VHS tape of a German episode of Flying Circus. That is how much I was invested in Monty Python.
Wow. Was it like, were you collecting all the video stuff, all the TV stuff they did?
It wasn't so much a collection as like I just wanted to watch it. It didn't matter if I didn't own it. I just wanted to have seen it.
Right. Were you alive when they were doing their thing when the show was active?
No.
Okay.
So I was born 1980. So
okay, all right.
I was alive for The Meaning of Life, but I think that's the only Monty Python related thing that I was alive for.
I dig. Hey, Skeptalk, I see you out there, brother, Mr. Scott. Beam me up. All right, so I don't know. When you say you were online, do you think that the person that we see is pretty much you, or is it a different?
No, absolutely. I'm me, just with a microphone. There's really no difference.
I kind of figure that, man. You know, it's like, but that's a question that some people will amplify certain parts of their personality, and others, I will be playing a part. So I found that I still find that interesting. Because it's
impossible not to be slightly different when you have an audience.
Yeah.
Like I don't consciously change anything, but knowing people are listening will change very slightly the way I present myself, just because I know people are watching. But I'd say like 99.9% the same.
Indeed. So is there a food from your childhood that you hated, but now you like it as an adult?
I wouldn't say that I like it, but I'm more willing to eat onion. Whereas before I would pick it off. Like if you gave me a hamburger from McDonald's, I would pick the onion off.
Right.
Whereas now I don't care if onion is in my food, I'll just eat it.
Right.
I wouldn't seek out onion, but I don't mind if it's in my food anymore.
Sweet. That's another common answer to that question. Some people will say broccoli. Oh, that was interesting. So who would you say?
I don't eat broccoli.
No, are you a picky eater?
I'm not a picky eater, but I fall into habits. So like when I'm ordering dinner, I'll probably have like pizza, pasta, or a burger. Like I'm not going to get too fancy. I'm just going to stick to what I know.
Right. The safe ones.
Yeah.
Bowl of noodles. There you go. So who would you say is the most influential person on you as a child?
Probably my father. I think that's like the standard answer.
Right.
But because my parents split up when I was really, really little, getting to see my dad once a week, like that was the day I looked forward to the rest of the week. That was like the highlight of my week, was getting to spend the whole day with my dad. So yeah, I looked up to him a lot. He was very sick and he never let it slow him down, and I had a tremendous amount of respect for his ability to do that.
You want to talk about his sickness? I didn't know your dad was sick. What was?
So his kidneys failed at 14, I think it was. And he had been on dialysis from the age of 19 to the time he died, which was a few years ago. So yeah, it's quite impressive that even working a full-time job, he did dialysis on top of that. He didn't it wasn't until the final few years that he actually stopped working and went on disability.
How did that impress you?
Well, just the sort of the strength and fortitude that it takes, because a lot of people would let that defeat them. They'd say, well, that's it, my life's over, fuck this.
Up. Yeah.
But he never did. And I respected the strength that it took to persevere, like especially in the face of something as debilitating as that, and he never let it get him down. And that was something that I always really admired and respected about him.
So what kind of kid were you? How much trouble did you give him?
I was one of those annoying goody two-shoes kids. I like if a teacher or my parents told me to do something, I did it.
Right.
Like I didn't question it. I was just like, well, this is what I've got to do, so I'll do it. Obviously, as I got older, I started to enter my rebellious teens sort of thing. But as a kid, I was very, very obedient, and I liked reading because my mum didn't like me playing video games as much as I would have wanted to. So, in the absence of being allowed to play video games, I would read constantly.
So what kind of books were you drawn to as a kid?
Anything really, but my life kind of was my world was blown because I came across these things called game books, where it's basically just a choose your own adventure book. And like when I first encountered the choose your own adventure thing, that was amazing to me. It's like, oh my god, this is like 20 different stories in one, which is, you know, an exaggeration, but as a kid, that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
And then I discovered that there's choose your own adventure books that actually have a game attached to it. It's like you roll dice to determine your stats and, you know, to fight monsters and all that. And like, okay, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. And so I collected the entire Fighting Fantasy game book series, which was 60 books. I got them all, and I loved every single one.
Wow.
In fact, when I got in trouble, my mum threw out all my Fighting Fantasy books. Oh, and so as an adult, I went back onto eBay and bought every single one again.
Oh, man. So you spent a lot of time playing reading the books and playing the games, or?
Yes, yeah. I did.
So, do you have a favorite holiday or season of the, of the weather?
I'd probably have to go Christmas because it's the only time that I go see my family. The rest of the year, I'm up here in Sydney. But for Melbourne, I go down and spend a few days with my mum, my stepdad, and you know their kids. I think of them as brothers, but I'm kind of like precise in my wording to make it clear the relationships involved. And yeah, that's something that I only get to do once a year. And yeah, I like Christmas.
And it's so interesting because to people up here on this hemisphere, northern hemisphere, we don't experience the ability to be able to see chicks in bikinis on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
People at the beach and shit.
Well, it's definitely a lot warmer down in Australia than it is up in America in the December month.
I'll be honest. Uzi and I have a strong desire to gravitate there and maybe drop anchor.
Yeah, it's probably a step down in terms of the freedoms that you're used to. Like we don't have free speech as codified as you have it, and there's like a lot of gun restrictions that you've got to be aware of and follow if you want to carry a gun. So it's a lovely country, but just be aware of the step down in terms of the freedoms that you would be used to as an American.
Right. Well, I watch a lot of Sky News Australia, and there's a guy there. His name is Paul Murray. Are you familiar with him? Yeah.
I don't watch TV, so I'm not too familiar with Sky News. Like I know it's on YouTube, but I haven't really watched it.
Yeah, well, people with Sky News is, all right, my opinion is Sky News is what CNN used to be like when they were actually news, and plus it does have a right leaning slant.
It does.
Yeah, and I really, and they have they're funny. Actually, some of these commentators are really funny. So it's good stuff.
Well, I know there's a lady named Daisy Cousins who I watch on YouTube quite a bit, and she's appeared on Sky News quite a bit. So that's the only one I know from Sky News, and she's quite good.
Yeah, Lauren Southern was popping up over there. Did you know that, man?
I knew that she came down with Stefan Molyneux to do like a tour. I didn't know that she was here on any kind of permanent basis.
I think she might have got a job at Sky AU. Maybe working, I don't know.
Oh.
Lauren
Any
Southern.
excuse to look at Lauren Southern's face is one that I'm happy to take. She's quite pretty.
Yeah, indeed. The attack helicopter herself.
Yeah.
You know?
Even if she is technically a man now.
No, you're thinking of Riley Dennis.
No,
Oh.
Lauren Southern got her gender changed to prove that.
Oh, that's right. On the license, that's right. She sure did.
Yeah, so she just got her gender changed, and like the doctor was too scared to say you're clearly a woman. So the doctor was fine to say, look, here's the medical certificate so you can get your license changed.
Indeed. That's all right. So, kind of getting back on to the Terry topic here. If you could go back in time to young Terry at the age of 8, what would you tell yourself?
That's tough. Because if it was a bit later, if it was like teen years, then I'd tell myself that people don't hate me as much as I think they do. Because I was, pretty depressed as a teenager, and I was convinced that everyone hated me, but the only problem is, like, on an intellectual level, I knew that was nonsense.
Right.
But I couldn't convince my heart, so to speak. Like, I knew it as a fact, but I didn't feel it as true. So I was pretty depressed. And if there was a way to convince myself that no, the entire world does not in fact hate you, and no, the world would not be better off without you. But at 8, I wasn't feeling that. But if I could go back to my teen years, that's probably what I'd want to fix.
Right. So your teen years were a little more turbulent, would you say?
Well, I think it's because of my childhood that my teen years were turbulent, because I changed schools a lot as a kid because my mum moved house, and at one point she didn't like the public education system, so she moved me to a religious school. And so I ended up going to 4 different primary schools. So between kindergarten and year 6, I went to 4 schools.
Wow.
And that meant that I had a hard time believing that my friends would stick around, because at a moment's notice they could be ripped away from me, and I'd have to start over. Right. And so I think that is why I was so insecure as a teen, is because even though I went to the same high school from year 7 to year 12, I didn't change schools at all. I think the effects of all that school hopping as a kid made me rather insecure and unsure of myself.
So you said you went to a religious school. Do you mind me asking what religion it was?
A Catholic.
Okay. Me too. I wanted to verify.
Well,
I was raised Catholic.
It was actually a problem because I wasn't raised Catholic. But my mum didn't like the public education system, and the only they weren't private schools because they were partially government subsidized, but the only non-public schools in the area were religious. So I actually got baptized purely so that she could send me to a Catholic school. And that was another source of tension because I was the only atheist at a religious high school, so you can imagine that went down well.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's like here you didn't have to like do any kind of conversion to then like the high school, right? There were a lot of non-Catholics at Catholic high school.
I think the first one I went to was like that. Is like you didn't have to be religious or Catholic or anything, but the second one, the third school and the fourth school is the ones I'm talking about. The third school was fine, and the fourth primary school was like, no, you need to be Catholic. We need to see proof that you've been baptized. So I was.
Wow.
I never did my confirmation, but I was baptized.
Well, this is interesting because I don't know. This is something I saw today actually, that that in Red China, the Catholic Church has agreed to this version of there's a retelling of the story of Jesus in which Jesus commits murder.
That seems out of character.
Yeah, exactly. The scene where the lady's being stoned, and then he convinces the crowd, we all have sin, and the first perfect person throw the rock, and then saving our life. Well, in this new version, Christ, he himself throws rocks at the woman and kills her, and
wow.
His statement is that we're all flawed, but if a flawed man did nothing, it wouldn't serve the state, basically.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's really fucked up, and it's really fucked up that the Pope would even consider that kind of shit.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, the Catholic Church has been compromised. I don't know.
Clearly.
If it hadn't been by Satan, it's definitely by commies. That's the devil we know, isn't it?
Yeah. I find it astonishing that anyone takes communism seriously. Like, we've got so much proof that it doesn't work.
Yes.
Like, how can anyone look at that history and go, you know what, let's give it another shot?
We can do it right. I promise you, man. They're all doing it wrong. God damn it, man. So, all right. So, what was the craziest thing you did as a kid?
I mean, it's not that crazy, but the one I got in the most trouble for was shoplifting. That was the one time that I got a Saturday detention where I had to come in on the weekend, and that was like a double punishment because Saturday was the day I used to spend with my dad. So I not only had to go to school on Saturday, I missed out on my day with Dad. So that was like, that's probably why I remember it so much.
Do you remember what you stole?
Like a chocolate bar or something. It was nothing big. It was like a $2 chocolate bar.
Man, that's kids do kid stuff,
Yeah.
See,
that was the most trouble I ever got in by far. Was stealing that thing.
So, all right, so what was high school like for you?
That's where the depression sort of kicked in, and I think just the usual puberty and such messes with you, and then I was already kind of insecure with all the school hopping, so I did have friends, but as I said, I was convinced that they secretly hated me, and all the nonsense that goes through your head when you're not thinking right. So yeah, it was a depressing time, but all the same, I had it pretty good. Like, there's nothing really to complain about. I was just sort of emotionally in a bad place.
So you weren't necessarily like a goth kid or like angsty that way, emo or whatever, right?
No.
You were just.
I was just
kind of an introverted kind of.
Yes. Well, I'm
Kept,
still very introverted.
kept to yourself.
Yes,
Yeah.
very much so.
I think you socialize really well. You really have an affinity about you I think attracts people to you.
Well,
What I see. Let's see. Go ahead.
I think that's why I like the whole live streaming thing. Is I get to be social, and it's still a very introverted way of socializing. Like I'm at home. I'm not. So yeah, I think that's why I like it.
Indeed.
I get to do it at home.
Indeed. So all right, let's move up. Let's describe the first time with a girl.
It was not as romantic as many would probably want their first time to be. So I was friends with a girl on the internet, and she lived in England, and I was like, "Well, my family is moving to England, and I'm coming up to visit." And she was like, "Oh, seeing as we're both virgins, how about we fix that simultaneously?" It's like, "Sure." And that was like was actually the end of the friendship because I think it kind of fell apart after that. But that was the first time. It was like, oh, neither of us have had sex. We both kind of want to, but we weren't like in love or anything. We weren't dating or anything. It was just, hey, here's an opportunity to solve a mutual problem. What do you say? So it's not romantic in the slightest, but got the job done, I suppose.
Yeah, what we call that friends with benefits, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, just kind of find somebody to like get the groove on with, you know. You get all schooled up in your own technique and shit, and then when you bust it out on, you know, the next chick, she's a game.
But it was funny because I didn't really enjoy the experience, and it wasn't until like my first proper girlfriend where I was legitimately in love. That was an entirely different experience.
Oh no, shit, yeah, indeed.
And so yeah, I would not be interested in casual sex, but if I was like in love with someone, then that is a entirely different experience, worlds apart. I can't even compare it.
I totally agree. There's a difference between what I call fucking and making love. You know,
exactly.
When that emotional component's there, it's transcendent. It's incredible. All right, what about the first time you got shit faced? What was that like?
Appropriately enough, I don't really remember it. I couldn't tell you the first time I got shit faced. I do remember the drunkest I ever got was like an after party for like the school formal or prom, I think you guys call it, like the formal dance at the end of high school. And there was an after party, and that was about the drunkest I ever got because I couldn't stand.
Right. So all right, so we're kind of shifting gears here. What about music? Are you a big fan of music?
Yeah, I've got an affinity for rock and metal. Like anything in those families, I'm probably going to be at least somewhat into.
Right.
And so that's why like a lot of the music you play as your waiting music at the start of streams is really, really good.
Yeah, I'm having to cut back on that because of the strike.
No, I understand.
It's one of my favorite. Well, that's one of my favorite things especially for this show, is to kind of pick out songs that either make me think of that person, or I don't know. It's just there's something about the person that is figured in with that deal, and I can't do it now. But
yeah, that is a shame because you've got good taste. I like a lot of the music that you play on your streams.
I do have my Boomerversity campus radio project that I bust out every once in a while.
It's in like Guitar Hero is actually one of the things that completely changed my view of music. because I never liked metal until I played Guitar Hero. Like,
Oh,
I thought
wow.
it was just noise.
Right.
Like, and then I played it, and because playing Guitar Hero forces you to actually listen, like actively listen rather than just hear it,
Right.
like, this is actually really good. And so that's how I found stuff like Slayer and Megadeth and Metallica and Iron
Yeah.
Maiden,
Good shit.
like all the
Yeah.
classics.
Yeah, man.
And that was my introduction to it. It's like, you know what? There's more to this than I gave it credit for, and I became a big fan.
Indeed. Indeed. Even shit like the Ramones, there's a certain, even if you play the same 5 chords, being able to rearrange them into so many different songs, right? Because there's a talent in that too.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just amazing.
I only know a couple of songs by the Ramones, but they are good. Like the ones I've heard, I did like.
Yeah, even Neil Young's kind of like that too. He's got like a 3 or 4 chord deal, and all his songs are rooted out of that. It's like, I don't know. It's just, but see, that's like the polar opposite of like good metal. Good metal is very intricate music, right? And
yes, it is.
And very, very mathematically challenging. It's awesome shit. I love it. I love it all.
Yeah.
There's something good about every kind of music, I think. I can find one good song, I guarantee you, out of every genre.
Yeah, like, I'm not a huge fan of rap and hip hop, but at the same time, there are good songs in that genre. It's just that, by and large, it's not to my taste.
Right. So what about you, guilty pleasures, music-wise?
I don't feel bad about liking anything. So, like, the term guilty pleasure doesn't really apply. But as far as stuff that most people would consider a guilty pleasure, I actually don't mind Call Me Maybe by Carly Rae Jepsen. It's a catchy song. It's upbeat. I like the video where she's sort of falling over herself trying to get the attention of the guy, and then at the very end it turns out he's been gay the whole time. And it's sort of, it's a catchy, silly song.
Yeah, indeed. Good old Cardi B, man. Fucking, so that's why I like asking that question. All right. So, all right. High school wise, are you planning on going to like your 20-year reunion? Are you near that, or is that?
Oh, I went to my 10-year.
Right.
If there was a 20-year reunion, I was not informed of it. So either no one organized one, or I just wasn't in the mailing group to be notified. If I got invited to like a 25th, I'd go just to see everyone again.
Yeah, you know what I think though? It's like when I'm talking about with people that are younger, it seems like to me that social media has kind of like has filled a spot where everybody's like up on everybody's shit, right?
Yeah.
Especially the people like that I knew from high school and stuff. I can contact them anytime through that stuff. Whereas that that didn't used to be the case. So I don't know. It's one of those things that is you see. I just see it disappearing over time.
Yeah. I mean, I have people from high school on Facebook, but I never talk to them. It's like, if one of them contacted me, I'd be very surprised. I'd be like, I mean, hi, but why?
I don't know, man. Last election, I fucking jettisoned about 250 of my old high school friends. It was, yeah, it was. I was part of a big music scene too, so there's a lot of liberals and shit. And
I think if I used Facebook, because I've mostly stopped using it. It's just a way of keeping in
Facebook
touch
is
with
cancer, man. Shit,
But like, all Facebook is where all my old friends are. So like high school friends and the internet friends I had before, like joining this community, and so they're like very far left. they are scary in how left they are. So I think if I was using Facebook, I would be unfriended en masse.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I experienced that. Actually, I flipped over. I figured they were going to jettison me, so I airlocked them for what I call it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's sad that things have gotten so divisive, but it is what it is.
But what about relationships? You got any women's in your life? Men or whatever?
No, I'm on my own. I generally prefer to be on my own. It's one thing that I've learned through a series of failed relationships is I'm generally happier on my own. Like, as much as I enjoy the companionship, I don't think I like sharing my life. Like, I think I enjoy being on my own far too much to make a relationship really work.
I understand. I'm kind of I always kind of had a similar attitude, and then I met Uzi. Yeah, that was it.
Like if I met the right person and my heart sort of went to fluttering, sure. I mean, I'm not averse to the idea. It's just that it's not a priority. It's not something I'm really looking for. If it happens, cool. But yeah.
So it doesn't sound like you're like looking to have kids or anything.
No.
Okay, cool.
Much to the disappointment of my grandfather, because I was his favorite, and like he openly so, because I had his surname, and I was like the future of the Diamantis family legacy. And the fact that I'm not going to have kids is kind of destroying the one thing he liked about me.
Is that a Greek name? Diamantis?
Yes, it is.
That's what I thought, man. I already calls it right again. All right, so let's shift gears and talk about like film and stuff. Are you a fan of horror movies?
I like them. I haven't seen a lot of them. It's the kind of thing, if it's on, I'll definitely watch it. It's not something I've really gone out of my way to watch, though.
Would you say that more of your like cinematic entertainment is through gameplay?
Oh, easily, yeah. I don't watch a lot of movies, but I do play a hell of a lot of video games.
You do RPGs?
Yeah. I've got. I'm playing through Shadowrun at the moment, and that's like an RPG. But yeah, no, I definitely prefer games that have stories, rather than just the sort of gameplay only oriented things. I like having a bit of a narrative to follow.
Have you experimented with any of the 3D stuff yet, like Oculus?
No. I don't have enough room in my unit to do something like that. I would stumble over furniture if I replaced my vision. If I couldn't see what was around me, I'd bump into things. It's a fairly small unit that I live in, so it's not like I have a big open space to be free to do that in.
Let's see, what about horror games? You ever play any?
I don't know. I don't think horror really works in games all that well. Or I've not played any games where it's been done well. So if anyone in chat has ideas of a really scary game, feel free to let me know. But I think it's too easy to feel like you're in control of the situation, which undermines that feeling of horror. Like, you're the one controlling the character. So you don't have that feeling of helplessness that you would get like if you're watching something happen as opposed to actively making it happen.
Right. Let's see. Yeah. So what about like sci-fi? Are you into any sci-fi type games? Science fiction?
I'm not too concerned with the general setting as much as I am with the story. So, like, a story set in space is fine. Like I am, but it's just a setting. It's like you could tell the basic same story in any setting. You could have a vampire story where the same events play out. You could have a fantasy story. So yeah, I'm more interested in the actual story than the setting itself. So yeah, if a story happens to be in space, I'll play it, but it's not something I seek out.
Yeah, see, it's like I was into like playing like Mech Warrior and shit. Run around killing things. It's like yes, I like blowing shit up.
As far as settings go, I suppose like the generic fantasy setting is one that I prefer, but it doesn't make a huge difference.
When you say fantasy, do you mean like Gandalf type, fantasy wizards and warlocks and shit? Yeah, cool. So yeah, I can see that. I can see the Monty Python thing kind of fit in with that, right? Do they have any games out?
Yes, there are several Monty Python games.
I would assume that it would be a huge homage to them out there.
There's Monty Python's Complete Waste of Time. And that is intriguing because on the surface, all it is a bunch of Monty Python clips. Like you'll have a picture and you click on something and it'll play a clip from the show.
Yeah.
But there's actually a secret game to it where if you click things in the right order, you end up on this roller coaster, and if you make the right directional decisions, you actually find I forget what it is, like pieces of a puzzle or something, and the way you win the game is by finding all of them. And there was actually like a prize to the first person who could finish the game, and I don't know if it ever got claimed.
That's crazy, man. That sounds like fun too. I love the fish slapping dance. That's every time I see it, it makes me laugh, man.
Yeah. And there was a game based on the Holy Grail. That was a bit more conventional. That was just a point and click adventure game with playing through the story of the Holy Grail. And I think there was a desktop Pythonizer, which was just a bunch of wallpapers and screensavers. That was nothing exciting, but it did have a couple of mini games that came with it. So yeah, there are Monty Python games.
Desktop Pythonizer. I like that. I might find that and grab it.
I think it'll be hard to find. I think they're all out of print, by decades.
Oh really?
Yeah. I did find a way to play the Holy Grail video game online for free, but it was really low quality. So I don't know.
Some of those emulator games.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. So all right. What about anime? Are you a fan of anime?
No, I did watch bits and pieces of the Pokemon one because I was a fan of Pokemon the game. So I sort of why not watch that? And as a kid, I vaguely remember watching Astro Boy, but that's about the extent of it.
It's a classic, man. So all right, so skipping, shifting gears again. What about scars? Do you have any scars?
There's one on my upper arm, but that's not an injury. That was because I had a skin condition and they wanted to do a biopsy on it to see if it was cancer, and it wasn't. But I do have a scar where they made the incision to take that little bit of flesh to analyze.
So did they stitch it up, or does it have just an odd shape to it?
No, they stitched it up.
Okay. All right. So what about tattoos, piercings? What about no that?
When I heard about the concept of tattoos, I was like, no. I don't like the idea of anything permanent. So as a kid, I did those press-on tattoos that wash off in water.
Yeah.
But those I had no problem with. But the idea of permanently changing my body kind of scared me.
I mean, it is a commitment, to lay down.
Definitely, yeah.
It's interesting. If you were going to get a tattoo, what would you get a tattoo of?
Oh God, I don't know. And like that's part of the reason that I was so put off by the concept of tattoos is what would I get that I would still want, 20 years from now? It's like I can't think of anything I am willing to make that kind of commitment towards. No, I honestly I couldn't even guess as to what an appropriate tattoo would be, and where I'd have it.
Man, and then there's the idea of like what like a tramp stamp or whatever is going to look like when you're 80, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I don't know, man. I shouldn't have got that. That's when it became a thing. I told my sister, I said, if I had $10,000 right now, I would buy a laser tattoo removal machine because they're going to be coming in droves. And sure enough, they started about 5 to 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because the 90s, was when they.
It's one of those things where there's nothing that I'm so passionate about that I want a permanent symbol of it emblazoned on my body.
Indeed. So, all right, in 40 years, what do you think people will be nostalgic for?
Capitalism.
we laugh at that, but it's sad enough, man. It's like, yeah.
I think that's going the way of the dodo, unfortunately. I think.
My ass will be dead, so.
Yeah, well, I'll be 80, so I'll be close in 40 years.
Fuck Emu's tattoo.
Yes.
Why can't, man? I keep making this dude manic a damn wrench, and it's not making him blue. What has he got? Some kind of I don't know. It's fuckery about. I smell it. I smell it.
A fucking his tattoo would be funny, but again, I'm not that committed to the joke.
Yeah. Have you ever eaten emu?
No.
I have. I had a buddy that he in the U.S. for some stupid reason, there was a short period of time, like 3 or 4 years, where raising emus for emu skin and meat was a thing, right? And so he had bought a couple and had butchered one, man. And I mean, the breast was like it was just like it was more like buffalo, but it was close to cow. I mean, it was impressive. Yeah, good meat.
I've eaten kangaroo, but not emu.
What's that like?
I wasn't a fan. I think maybe it was just different, and I'm like so used to beef and chicken that the slightly different taste kind of threw me. It might have even just been like what they put on top of it, like the sauce might have just not been good, but no, I wasn't a huge fan of kangaroo.
If you could know the absolute and total truth to one question, what question would that be?
So, I was actually thinking about this, and my original question was going to be, does free will exist? But then I thought, if the answer is yes, I wouldn't be satisfied with just yes, it exists. So my question would be, how is free will possible? And then that way, if the answer is it isn't, then I get the answer to the question. And if it is, then I get an explanation for how it's possible. So that would be my question, because it's one of those things I've been stuck on. It's I understand the deterministic argument, but I can't deny that if free will is an illusion, it's an incredibly fucking convincing one. Right. I can't imagine that I don't have free will. But so if determinism is correct, then I want to know how that works. And if we do have free will, I want to know how it's possible.
Man, that's a deep question, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you could go back in time and spend a week with anyone, Who out of history would it be?
I mean, unless you're going to count something like my dad, because he's passed on.
Right.
But if you're talking like historical figures,
yeah, that's what I mean.
Not really anyone. I've never been one to be that interested in like celebrities and like famous people. Like, if I got to go back and hang out with, like, I don't know, Graham Chapman, who was like the first Monty Python member to die,
right?
What would I say to him? It's like, "Hi, I like your work. Thanks. Cool. Bye."
Have you ever heard?
Like,
have you ever heard people talk about how he was?
I think he was a raging alcoholic.
He was a very strange guy, man. The reports were like he was real distant, and the personality seemed detached at times, but when it was like cameras, when it was time to be there, he was there, man. It's interesting to hear them talk about it.
It sort of, I'd be approaching it as a fan, like, and as such, I don't think I could like just hang out with him and be friends with him, because like I'm no one to him, but he's someone important to me. So that would make it very fanish. So like, other than, oh my God, you were great as King Arthur, what am I going to say to him?
Right. Indeed. So what would you say your spirit animal is?
I actually had to consider this, because when I joined the Minions of the Zoo, you have to pick an animal to represent you.
That's right.
And I think the hermit crab was a stroke of genius on the part of Sanguine, who came up with it. It's like, yes, hermit crab, definitely.
Of course, Sanguine came up with that.
Credit where it's due. That was an excellent suggestion. And as soon as he said it, like, yes, that.
Yeah, dude. Some of those people are just scary intellectually. They're just, they're so fucking smart. It's like, goddamn. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Sanguine was the whole reason that I started watching Minions of the Zoo. Was I was so impressed with his super chats, like, because this was back when Scribe did the ads on request.
Yes.
And the shit he come up with.
Yes.
Like, I found out that Sanguine was one of the minions. Like, oh really? Oh man, I've got to watch this show. And that was why I started watching them, is because I found out Sanguine was one of them. Like, definitely watching this now. And then I ended up joining them, so it worked out well.
Yeah, his scenarios that he would throw at Scribe were hilarious. And Scribe's, man, he did every one of them were fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of talent, it's like, that's not just you don't see that, right? That ability to be able to do that either way. So I'm very impressed by that shit. All right, so go ahead.
I was disappointed when Scribe stopped doing the ads, because I think instead of just stopping, he should have raised the price. Like, because he was like only charging $10, so he was getting like 30 ad requests in a single screen. Whereas if he bumped it up to say $30, then people would obviously contribute a lot fewer ad requests, and it would have been a much more manageable thing for him to do.
Yeah, well, it's like I can see it from his perspective too, because he's a perfectionist.
I get why he did it.
Yeah, no
but,
shit.
I think it was just the volume that he had to deal with. So if he raised the price and he only got, say, 5 ad requests, then that would be a lot easier for him to do, rather than come up with 30 really, really good ads. So.
Right. All right, so this is the point where I do the pivot questions in honor of James Lipton, the gentleman that used to perform inside the Actors Studio, passed away this year. Not from the coof, all right, but I always loved watching that dude interview these guys. So yeah, here's the 10 questions. It's kind of a rapid fire thing. Say the first thing that pops in your head. It's fun. Let's see. What's your favorite word?
I'll go defenestrate just because it's such a ridiculous thing.
That's a great word, man. Indeed. Indeed. And people, that means to be thrown out of a window or to throw out of a window. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your least favorite word?
I don't know. Maybe just no, because that means I don't get to do whatever I was asking to do.
All right. So I've created the official favorite word badge. Now you own it. All right. So
Thank you.
All right. So it's going to be a while. So you're holding the title for a while, because it's usually cunt or fuck.
Right.
You're right. All right. So I'm sorry. I went off. You set me off, son. So all right. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Making people laugh. Like, basically, I want to make the world a better place, and making people laugh is one way I'm able to do that most effectively.
Indeed. So, all right. So, what turns you off?
It's hard to think of something. Just, I don't know, depressing sort of people who can't have fun.
Right. Totally get that. So what's your favorite curse word?
This one I don't. The one I use the most often is fuck. But my favorite would be the N word, which I won't say because your channel is in a precarious position.
Ruh-roh.
But the reason is it's the only word I can think of that still has a taboo on it. Like, you can say fuck as much as you want, and no one really cares. You say the N word, and people are like, oh, whoa, what?
What? Exactly.
So it's the only word that still feels like a curse word.
Yeah, man, that's the first time I've heard that. What sound or noise? What sound or noise do you love?
This is going back a bit, but on the Xbox, when you got an achievement, it made a really satisfying sound to indicate that you'd unlocked it. And that's actually the biggest disappointment with playing on Steam, is there's no sound when you get an achievement.
Yeah. So, all right, what sound or noise do you hate?
High-pitched screeching. There was a problem with the water pipes, and there would be like this constant high-pitched screech, and that was just maddening. Like, it just really gets into your brain, and it's very, very hard to tune out and ignore.
Very off-putting.
Yes.
Let's see. All right. Let's see. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I don't think I'd be suited for it, but stand-up. Because, like I said, I do like making people laugh. So maybe like a comedy writer would work. Anything in regards to comedy would be interesting to try.
Yeah. Well, that's the cool thing about the YouTube deal, is that you can find an audience, can find you, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's so cool about it. It's like because I think everybody, I don't know, I like to make people laugh. I want to make the world a better place too, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I appreciate that. What profession would you not like to do?
I think this is a common one, but anything like surgery where there's like blood involved no, that's not for me.
So if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you enter the pearly gates?
No, I haven't seen Jack Gonski's streams. Why do you ask?
Nice one, dude. I told y'all he's slick, man. What's up, Jack Gonski? We see you, Kafke, Cynic, Manic. Let's see who I saw somebody earlier and I didn't say hi to him. It was Cynic. That's who it was. Faithless. What's up? All right. Let's see. Shit. All right, so this is where this is the chat's turn to throw some questions in here for Brother Terry. Before we wrap and call this thing a thing. So we're gonna hang out and we'll wait. If you want to ask a question, make sure you put multiple question marks behind it, so I'll it'll stand out to me. And people at D Live and Twitch do the same thing. And I forgot to tell everyone, we are broadcasting to Twitch, D Live, Facebook, and that's all.
Yes.
In addition to YouTube, of course.
And looking over chat, I'll just say hugs to Kefki because she was very kind and drew a custom version of the Monty Python foot for me.
Yeah, I saw that, man. Yeah, it was good.
So thanks to Kefki for that.
Kefki's a doll. She's a special girl. Damn. Dig that girl. She all right.
And it looks like Czech is asking what ad requests. So what Scribe used to do back in the day was if you donated $10, you could request a custom ad, and he would read that out on the next Lords of the Night stream on Monkey's Night. And so yeah, it was just a thing that he did because it got him a lot of donations, but ultimately it ended up taking too much of his time because he's got a full-time job. He's got fairly limited time, and he's getting so many requests that it just overwhelmed him.
Right, and Sanguine would like make this like convoluted scenarios in which Scribe would be, he would challenge Scribe to describe a movie about butt paste set in the 1920s, right? And the next night, Scribe would come up and he would and he would do a movie ad or something, whatever, a butt paste ad. Right, exactly. So it was quite entertaining, and and I miss it too. But it's like I understand his reasons, and I support that because when it becomes burdensome, I think that and you lose your fun. I think the edge goes away too. I think that
it stopped being fun for him, and I can understand why he had to stop it.
It's just like when a doctor gives you a cup and tells you to pee in it right now. Sometimes you don't have to pee.
Okay, so Check Your Logic is asking, is it true that Australians celebrate Christmas in June? No, it is not. We do it in December like everyone else. Some people might do some sort of holiday in June. I don't know, but it's not anything I've ever heard of.
Yeah. That's like what I was saying, Christmas with bikinis, man. That's just a gift from God. I'm just saying. What are your favorite Australian-based snacks and why?
I've got to be honest, I do like burger rings. And I know, like Jack is referring to, because we've had this conversation in the past. But yeah, burger rings are actually really, really good. If you can get a chance to try them, definitely give them a shot.
Your bugger rings are good? Is that what you said?
Burger ring, like Burger. I'll put it in.
Because I know somebody's gonna say he said buggering. Yeah.
I put it in chat. Burger rings, like burgers in hamburger.
Oh, it's quite cool. All right. Wow. So it's like an onion ring, but it's made of hamburger. That's interesting.
Well, I think it's basically the chip version of an onion ring. Like it's that kind of flavor.
Okay, cool, sweet. Let's see. Does Australia have a 16-acre den? Does always lost on nothing else? I don't either, man. Booger rings. I thought mine was better. It was funnier. It was dirty. I'm dirty-minded.
I mean, I am Greek, so I suppose that is irrelevant.
I believe they are flavored Funyuns. Oh, thank you, Jack Gunsky. And being a person that has smoked a considerable amount of marijuana and back in the day, I have eaten a shitload of Funyuns. So yes, I've contributed to the burger ring cause myself.
Excellent.
Hey, Terry Diamantis, could you do us a favor and say Richo is not a true Aussie?
Okay, Richo is not a true Aussie.
Tom, what have you started here, man? I don't know. Check your logic. I don't think Australians celebrated Christmas in June. That sounded too ridiculous to be true. It's like it's summertime down there, right? That's what the deal is.
Yeah.
And
I get where the question is coming from, because you guys have Christmas in winter, so do Australians also have Christmas in winter? No, we do it in summer.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Because that would mean Jesus would have 2 birthdays, and that's confusing.
Yeah.
Fuck. Right. Yeah. It's not confusing enough as it is. How did you like screaming with Scribe the other day?
It was good. I've now streamed with all the Lords of the Night, and yeah, no, Scribe's an interesting guy. It's always good to talk to him. I'm glad I got a chance.
Indeed. Well, are you into footy? Aussie footy?
No, I'm not.
Right? I was going to ask about sports earlier. I forgot.
I used to be slightly interested in rugby league, which was only because my stepdad was really interested in it, and I wanted to get closer to him. So I sort of tried to get into the sport, but I never did get fully into sports.
Actually, I saw it on a fact page years ago, back in 2012.
It's not a very good fact page, because it's telling you lies.
Indeed. Let's see. All right. We give maybe 1 or 2 other questions. Let's get them out there, and then we'll wrap. We can go ahead and start talking about who would you say is a criminally undersubscribed YouTuber on this corner of the internet? You've been around a while.
Well, that's tough, because most of the channels I watch aren't really hurting for subscribers. So like Ryan Long is absolutely hilarious. So is Freedom Tunes, but like they've got plenty of subscribers, so it's not like they're
right
newbies or anything.
But so you're saying they're not overrated either? You're saying they're genuinely
no, they're not.
good.
They're adequately rated. They've got a decent number of subscribers, and I mean, if you're unfamiliar with either of them, definitely check them out. But they're not hurting for subscribers. It's not like they're sitting around on 10,000 subs. They've got hundreds of thousands.
Right. So, what about somebody that's way overhyped and you really don't understand?
All of the big names, like I don't get the big deal about PewDiePie or Markiplier. None of them make up or that stuff. I don't understand how anyone's interested in that.
Logan Paul.
Like all the really, really big names, I just don't get. Like Shane Dawson, Phil DeFranco. I mean, I don't see what they're doing that gets them so many subscribers.
What's up, you beautiful bastards? Okay. But he's got people that are doing all the shit for him now. So it's like he's hunting up the stories he's telling or anything, It's like he's got a crew that... And I guess that's, successful, whatever,
Faithless is saying Casey Neistat. I've never seen him, but of the limited amount I've seen of him, he does nothing for me.
He was in this fucking movie on Netflix the other night that I was watching. And he didn't talk, so of course he was okay in it. So yeah, I'm not a fan either. It's just like, okay, this 50-year-old guy is like skateboarding and pretends like he's never been in the business before. I'm just saying, that's my opinion, nobody else's. So if Casey wants to come kick my ass, come on, I live in Alabama. So, and if you need directions, call Scooby.
Yeah.
It's just like, all right. So, what about you in content? Have you ever thought about doing your own deal on your own channel and shit?
I've thought about it. I don't know what I'd do. Like, I'm fine to just be the guy that goes on other people's streams.
Right.
There's nothing I can think of that I'm sufficiently motivated to create, like that I think I would stick with. So no, I've thought about it, but I don't think I'll start making my own content.
Well, sir, we have reached what I call the end of the line here. So at this point, you would, you know, if you were rolling with content, I would ask you to specifically show certain shows. So since you're not doing that, show whoever you want to. You were talking to those earlier. Who were those guys again?
All right, well, I'll go through the different channels that I'm on, and you should definitely check them all out. So,
Indeed.
Minions of the Zoo. If Della Haste is hosting, I'll almost always be alongside him. Jack Gunsky, I will always be on his Piplash streams. Frosted Glass, he does the corner, which is going through all the MSS news articles and like Twitter cancer that Frosted likes to talk the Lords of the Night with.
Yeah, I had no idea that Frosted was streaming at all. That totally surprised me. So yeah, I need to check that out. Because
he's only done a few streams so far, but no, they're really good. He's the reason that I got to talk to Scribe. He's had all three of the Lords of the Night as special guests on his corner streams.
Sweet.
And Johnny Hellcat, if he's streaming, if he's playing a game, I generally won't jump on. But if it's just a talking stream, I'll generally be there as well.
I busted Johnny's cherry, his streaming cherry. So
nice.
Yeah.
And Hey Camel doesn't stream often, but he has done it a couple of times. If he does it again and I'm around, I'll probably jump on there as well.
Yeah, he's fun and he's a very impassioned person. I like him. I like people that are, you know, invested emotionally in what they think and believe. You know. But so on that note, I'm going to do a little shillage here. Tomorrow, Becca and I are going to be going through on a show that we call Extra Credit, but I'm thinking about calling it Communism. You know, I don't know, that title's just emerged the other night and we were cracking up about it. And it's like, no, it's not about to be an idea. So, and we're going to do the history of communism. And hopefully I won't get struck for...
It might be worth doing it on DLive instead of YouTube, like you had to do last time, just to avoid the risk entirely. Because I think if you get too many strikes, it's like increasingly problematic for your channel.
Yeah, no, they'll yeet your channel.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean,
so it might be if you're going to do that, it might be a good idea to not do it on YouTube. But I can, for anyone who needs it, recommend iRate's streams on the communism stuff. I big fan. I liked his playing of the Yuri Bezmenov lectures, yes. And last time it was the history of communism, which is very, very interesting. Definitely check it out if you were, interested in that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I've got this version that I've got is by the NTD news group, which is they're a Taiwanese like propaganda channel.
Okay.
So I think I'll be able to get permission from them. I'm going to ask them tomorrow if I can use their stuff. Yeah. So yeah, keep our fingers crossed. See if you can do it. But anyway, on that note, man, I got no more questions for you, brother. I'm glad we hung out, and had this chat. It's been awesome. I knew it'd be like back.
It was a good time. I'm glad you invited me. Yes,
you are definitely cool and fun. And people, whenever this dude's in the stream, lock in and just have a seat, man. The dude is just classically funny in a very Victorian kind of way, I'll say. And on that note, let's say bye, man.
See you guys.
Later, taters, and let's do this. Thanks, everybody. See y'all later. Come on tomorrow.